5, 7.
Okay, so according to EA, Mass Effect Andromeda failure was The Legend of Zelda's doing. Yes, Breath of the Wild is the reason Andromeda failed to meet sales expectations and is highly criticized by the community and media. That's the exact statement by the head developer.
Okay, so the Wild like a bunch of bitches. So what are they gonna, so what are they
Hey,
gonna do about
keep
it
in
now?
mind, this is the media's fault. This is the I'm not being sarcastic here. This is the media's fault. What have we learned over the last 2 years? It happened with Star Wars. It's happening with the Jurassic Park movie. It happens with that Ocean's 8 or whatever. If someone doesn't like the movie, you blame them and you blame some sort of thing like sexism or whatever, and you don't blame the actual making of the game. You don't blame anything but what you want it to be.
How in what world did this developer even think he was going to compete with Miyamoto? I don't even know how he thought he could stand in the same room as him. Never mind make a game better than him. That's like, I don't even get that.
What do you just shut up, kiss the ground, that he walks on, and leave it at that?
Yeah. What? Oh my god. Like, EA, you've reached a low point here. A really low point.
EA, you disappoint me. Your Sega cartridges used to look awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did actually.
What the hell's wrong with you? What happened?
I have no idea.
They're not in the game anymore.
I would say, as far
Exactly.
as it's weird for me, I can really start to see, like, really when I started noticing the decline of EA, them as a company, I think was like a few things. Obviously with Westworld, well not Westworld, Westwood Studios, and then also with Sims and.
I don't remember EA ever being good. What are you talking about?
And then
stop it.
Oh.
No.
Sim-
You name me 5 games from PS2 era up that were any good in that system.
Burnout.
That were any good. Go ahead.
Yeah, Burnout.
Burnout.
Burnout wasn't EA. Stop. They bought Criterion. Continue.
Well, no, they did, but they also bought all the other games.
Dude, walking in and buying a studio that makes a good game and then just releasing their good game doesn't mean you make good games.
Yeah, but they don't really. EA doesn't really make games themselves. They own a bunch of
They're
studios.
more
now.
of a publisher.
They really
They
own a
have
bunch.
studios that they've always had. They had their entire sports division. They have DICE, and they have a couple others that they always had, like Westward. And other than Command and Conquer, nothing they've made has ever stood out.
Yeah,
Their
but
score
Battlefield-
ratings are always average.
Well, I didn't notice like how bad EA was. Like I said, Westwood Studios. I didn't notice how bad EA was until they bought Westwood Studios, and then the next Command and Conquer came out, and I went, "What happened?" And I was like, "They butchered this game," and you realize the correlation between EA and it's like, what are they doing?
Right.
And then they bought Maxis, and they butchered that until it was
EA,
dead.
EA's in the same boat as
Need for
Activision
Speed,
and Microsoft when it
Hot
comes to
Pursuit.
developers.
No,
the original Hot Pursuit was really good.
Need for Speed, Battlefield, Dead Space, Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor 2 was actually really good.
UFC was pretty good.
Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're going objective with those games. All those games are middling to average reviewed games. That's what I'm saying. They don't have any standouts.
I don't care about what people review them as. I enjoy it.
No, but we're talking about
Yeah,
what
but
we.
I could tell you that I like the last Command and Conquer, even though it was shit.
Burnout,
No,
Madden,
but the
Madden.
point. The question was that when did we start noticing the decline of EA? That they weren't
But
a great
what I'm
company.
saying to you is that they never made a standout until Battlefield.
Well,
Need
no,
for
but like,
Speed was a
They made games you
standout.
might like.
Burnout was
They
a
made games that you might
Yeah.
like.
Well, that was
but
Criterion.
I don't know, whatever. So
No, they make
EA.
games you might like, but they don't make standout games.
Fight
Standout games
Night
are those
stood out.
games-
Fight Night.
Dude, these are games that are not going down in history as standout games. They're average games.
yeah, but no, but
Just because you like them doesn't make them great.
no, but the point was the question was when you started noticing it, like when you notice a company like you buy games from a company all the time, then all of a sudden like they don't hit the mark anymore. Then you go,
I would
wait a
say
second
year
here.
3 of the hockey games when we were like 10 years old.
No, I know, but I'm
No.
saying though, like they don't hit that mark anymore, and that's when I noticed I'm like, this isn't hitting the mark like.
I'm
because
thinking when they hit
it's-
PS3.
So they went lower than so. From your
But
point, Grim,
you're actually
is that they were
proving my point,
making
Nate.
they were making games worse than mid-grade games at this point when you start noticing them. So it's
Yeah,
like
you're actually proving my point. You're saying they don't hit that mark anymore, and I'm telling you their mark was always average to a little bit above average.
yeah, I'm saying though, but for someone for a consumer to notice the mark, they have to not be hitting it anymore.
And it also
And-
explains why they cycle so many IPs and studios.
So I
If they
noticed.
had a standout game, they wouldn't cycle them constantly.
Yeah, like the two games I can distinctly I noticed it was Command and Conquer and Sims. They destroyed both those series completely.
All right, here's a top 10 games that's been listed off as the best games that EA has made. Period. So if I've read so far, Mirror's Edge, Dragon Age Origins, Command and Conquer, General, 0 Hour, SimCity 4, Need for Speed Underground 2, EA Sports Series, Dead Space, The Sims 2, Battlefield 3, Mass Effect 2. All right.
No, but the problem with Command and Conquer there, they only have that under their belt is because they bought that during the creation of 0 Hour.
Who owned Command and Conquer before them?
Westwood Studios was their own company.
Never heard of
the
that
question
company.
I then ask you is how many of those games are still alive?
Those are top selling games. The sports games are still selling.
No, but for the sports games though, they've cycled through so many developers now sports games that it's ridiculous. They pretty much fire
But they
everybody.
still buy them.
I know, no, but that's not the point. The point is they are just a
dude,
terrible company. They fire
Hold
entire
it.
staffs.
You know why they're buying them? Because you can't buy them anywhere else. Because when they make a bad football game and then they buy up the rights so no one else can make a better football game.
Which is true.
Back in like 2000 when the Xbox first came out, there was a game that was on Xbox and PlayStation. It was from Sega. I forget what it was called.
2K Sports.
It was a
2K
football game that was considered far better than any sports game they had ever made. And they just bought out the rights so no one could compete with them.
They were really good. I really liked the 2K games.
Yeah.
Like basketball, the football one. I even bought the football one.
Yeah. No, but in general,
they had a first-person mode.
They're just a crooked company. Like, they fire entire studios over and over again. They fired all of Westwood Studios. Westwood Studios doesn't exist anymore because of them.
I didn't know that was a company.
They've gotten rid of everybody. Well, Westwood Studios, I forget what the heck their company is now because a few guys formed their own company. And then with Maxis was beyond depressing. And the big notice with them when they failed was SimCity.
I'm not denying that the EA has done some really negative things. I'm not denying that, all right? Yeah. But what I am denying the fact that what I'm hearing, and please tell me if I'm wrong, is you're saying that EA has made nothing good ever, period, which is complete BS.
Oh no! What I said is they make middle to average games, a little bit better here and there. But in general, they do not make standout games. What they make are good games that have a ton of marketing behind them.
What's a standout game to you?
A standout game would be a game that is remembered. That is remembered fondly by millions of people, and that they didn't kill the series. The series died on its own from like.
Need for Speed Underground was amazing.
Yeah,
dude, you're saying Need for Speed Underground, dude. You realize how far off the mark for Need for Speed that is? Everybody else would say it's Hot Pursuit is the top game in that series.
No.
And here you are talking about Underground.
Underground 2 was fantastic.
I liked Hot Pursuit.
I never liked the cops chasing one.
Hot Pursuit, the remake was amazing.
I could never
it's like, for example,
that's my favorite ones of Hot Pursuit. The remake was amazing.
The first Hot Pursuit was all.
People scream about how great Mass Effect was. Scream about it.
Such
a great game. Amazing game. And then the third one comes out and nobody gives a crap.
Well,
like the story.
By your definition, a game that stands out that died out by itself would be Burnout. Burnout was an amazing game.
But Burnout wasn't them. Last great Burnout game was Paradise, and they bought up Criterion right after they released Paradise.
Yeah, they did. And
so
that's
you
what I mean.
cannot use Burnout because Burnout is a goddamn good game, but they didn't do it.
Like we can say,
they didn't have anything to do with it.
Like I can say, all the Command and Conquers before like Generals was amazing, and people say, "Oh yeah, that was EA," and EA owns the rights to it right now, but they didn't make any of that.
The Sims.
Most games.
The Sims, they didn't make any of them up till SimCity was out. They didn't make any of them. Then they bought Maxis, and then they fired the whole company.
Yeah. Dead Space.
Dead Space, what company was that called? They bought that company.
Dead Space is a game that was made by their studio, but if you know anything about that game, you know that the execs gave it no chance. They cut its budget multiple times, and they were basically sitting up waiting to close that studio until the game came out and was a huge hit. They were killing it before it was done. They wanted nothing to do with the game, and it was being pushed because an exec at EA liked the company that was Visceral Games, and he was like, "It's my brainchild," and it only made it out because he was refusing to back down from.
Yeah. So no, the original.
Then they killed it.
Hold on,
they killed it anyway.
They did the same thing with this company. That's Redwood Shores is the company they bought. that made Dead Space, and they killed them too. They kill all these companies that are good developers because they offer them a whole bunch of funding, and then they, after the game comes out, they fire everybody.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying
They're
the
just
past
crooked
games.
as hell.
There's been games in the past that they have come out with that were not the worst games ever made.
Yeah.
No,
but
that's true.
In no way am I saying the worst games ever, but standout games, and Ben's just gonna groan, but a standout game is something like The Legend of Zelda. That game is gonna be remembered for decades.
Yeah, but that
Like, whether you like it or not, people are gonna talk about that game.
And
well, in the games that I particularly like, Need for Speed always stood out to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
things
yes,
like that. That's a game that stands out to me. Everybody's not the same.
Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts didn't actually make that themselves.
It's like a consensus thing, dude. It's like the consensus about games that are classics and will go down in history, and series that are amazing and keep going because of it. EA doesn't have that.
But here's the thing: when series,
any of their games.
But then you're completely contradicting yourself, because when series continue, it's just a copy and paste.
No, because you have to look at how the games are done. For example,
this would be a perfect.
was killed.
This is a perfect.
Sorry, they didn't kill Uncharted. When they reached the end of the rope for Uncharted, they knew they couldn't do any more. They couldn't make that game any better than the last one they made. They let it die gracefully. They said, this is the last one. We're setting it out to pasture. We're moving on from it. That's the difference. EA might have a game that's on its way to being great, like you could say Dead Space. Hey, we got a hit here. Let's screw up the sequel. They screw up the sequel just a little bit. And it's not a lot, but it's just a little bit because they're getting a little bit more greedy. Then the third one comes out and they screw it up to high heaven. They ruin the entire series. And then they kill the studio and blame the studio for it. And that's why their games don't stand out. People don't go, I remember Dead Space. They go, dude, remember how awesome Dead Space 1 was? Yeah, but remember how much the last two sucked? Yeah, Dead Space as a series isn't very good. That first one was great, though. That's what your mind, like, it's the same thing with Need for Speed. You love Underground, but then you go, yeah, but all those other ones were pretty shit after because they really screwed that series up. So it's tainted. And then it doesn't stand out anymore because it's become a tainted product.
No, that's completely understandable. I'm just saying, like I said, it's not the only. There are games that they made.
Well, this is a perfect segue into rememberable games, because this next game is actually going to be a game that's going to be remembered. Well, the series is remembered for all time. Resident Evil 2 remake.